It works if a significant number of people actually follow through with that threat. If there's a whole load of people sitting waiting to take their tickets and take their spots, it's not going to have any effect at all. I know some people will go that way on principle, and they should, if that's the way they feel, but they're not going to maybe making much of a point if they're replaced by loads of other people and ticket sales aren't impacted, because no one in the racecourse management is going to be losing much sleep worrying about the few people that are making a point and not attending.
Yeah, fair point. What about the field sizes though, Phil?
Yeah, I mean, that's a concern. 5 days would only be 2 more races, but then that doesn't make the field sizes any better. There's not many issues with field sizes at a lower level, though, are there, Simon? You and I, we have trouble finding races for our horses sometimes.
Sure.
I do wonder whether it's because not many people can afford the top horses, so those top horses all end up with the same small group of owners and trainers who don't want to run several of their runners against each other in the same race. I've got no doubt there'd be more runners if more small owners had a horse good enough to run. And maybe that's where we as advocates of syndicates can help. I mean, sharing ownership costs certainly makes racing more affordable, and more syndicate ownership could really only benefit field sizes going forward.
Absolutely, yeah. Now, look, before we leave Cheltenham, what about the watering story? The clerk of the course decided to water on Tuesday night ahead of Wednesday because the times were quick on Tuesday and the ground seemed pretty fast. Then, lo and behold, we get, I think, 21 millimetres of rain on Wednesday. The ground turns heavy. Several horses withdrawn. A lot of people were pretty het up. Were you one of them?
Yes and no. I was het up, but not for the same reasons as everybody else. Okay. I saw some forecasts on Tuesday night and Wednesday morning that suggested the course would get much less rain than they did. So if it was firm ground, I could understand that being watered. But my issue is the ground descriptions, which to be honest, are a bit of a shambles. Obviously, if ground gets firm, it can be an issue for jumps racing. Horses go faster, that causes more falls, that leads to more injuries. None of us want to see that. So watering firm ground to get it back to good racing ground, no issue, no problem. However, and it's quite a big however, Tuesday's racing took place on ground that was described as good to soft in places. I can accept could have been drying through the afternoon, yeah, absolutely. But there was no change to the going description. The clerk of the course never made an adjustment at all. So that means the last race at 5:30 in the evening took place on ground that was officially good to soft in places. That shouldn't need to be watered. And if it wasn't good to soft and did need to be watered, then somebody should change the official description, because that race has gone into the record books as having been raced on good to soft ground. So immediately after it, watering started, and then having watered good to soft ground on Tuesday night, lo and behold, on Wednesday morning, they reported the ground was good. Either they've got water that dries ground at Cheltenham, or one or other of those two descriptions is wrong. And I really hate this as a punter, because I base bets on the horse's ability to handle the ground. And if it's not been reported accurately, then that makes that impossible for punters.
Have you come up for air yet? Well, that monologue is definitely a candidate for podcast rant of the week. Well done. I love it, Phil. Good. Joking aside, you've made some very good points there, actually. Excellent. Now, look, quick change of subject before Cieren Fallon joins us. We've got the Grand National that will soon be upon us, and the flat season will kick into gear. It has already begun on the grass, but it's going to kick into gear big time quite soon. I haven't really had a good look at the National yet, but I tell you what, I've got one certainty. Tiger Roll has got no chance. And that's because he's not been entered. Anyway, as for the flat, I'm looking forward to the unbeaten filly Inspiral, trained by the Gosdens, owned by Cheveley Park. She's unbeaten in 4 races. She won the Group 1 Fillies Mile at the back end of last season. She's winter favourite at 3-1. I think she could be quite exciting. Ballydoyle have got a horse called Tuesday, that actually won its mile novice easily on a Sunday, funny enough, at Naas. That's gone out in the betting to 12-1, but she could be quite interesting. And one horse that caught my eye at the opening Donny meeting was a horse of Willie Haggerty's, an unraced horse called Maljoom. Nicely bred by Caravaggio, it cost 160,000 guineas as a yearling. Was incredibly green, ridden by Tom McQuan, given a really nice ride, actually, and it won going away. I think it could be anything. I'm going to put my head above the parapet, Phil, and reckon that could end up being a 90-plus horse. We will see as the season goes on. But as they say, it could be anything. Now, on a personal note, I really think I've got the best bunch of horses at Solaria Racing. I've got 4 now that I've ever had. So really looking forward to, obviously you want them to stay sound, but really looking forward to them all running this year.
Yeah, I'd be the same. Looking forward to my 2 as well. Summer hurdler and flat horse as well. So, yeah, in terms of the upcoming racing, I've not really looked at the Grand National in detail yet. Maybe Fiddler on the Roof as a speculative suggestion. He's a big, bold jumper and just the kind of sort of horse that could come to life over the big fences. Might be worth a look. As far as the flat's concerned, I'll defer to you. You're the expert there, Simon. Godolphin definitely looks to have a strong hand this season with last year's horses. No doubt Aidan O'Brien will have some strong contenders, and I'm sure Qatar Racing must have a few nice horses.
I tell you what, Phil, you're getting quite good at this podcasting, Lark, aren't you? That's a very professional segue into this month's guest, Cieren Fallon, who I'm delighted to say joins us now on Inside the Rails. Hi, Cieren. How are you?
Hi, guys. Yeah, very good. Thank you. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And big welcome to Inside the Rails. Really appreciate you giving up your time to come on. Thank you so much. I don't think you're racing today, are you? But I guess you've been riding out this morning.
Yeah, not racing today. And yeah, I've been in Mr. Haggis this morning riding out a few lots.
Okay, so 3, 4 lots. How many do you tend to do in a morning?
So if I'm not racing, I try to get in 4, maybe 3. And then obviously if I'm racing, it all depends on what time and where I'm racing. Either be 1 lot or 2 lots.
Okay. Now, look, we know that you've got a famous father. Your dad was 6 times champion jockey. You know, did you ride ponies or horses as a child, as a youngster?
I never did pony racing. I must have sat on a few ponies as I was 3, 4, etc. And Dad was helping on them. But obviously, when my parents split, I moved up north, and then I had no contact with any horses as such until I was about 18.
Wow, that's quite unusual. I remember Daryl Holland. I think Daryl Holland got into racing quite late on as a teenager, but quite often, you know, jockeys do start off, as youngsters. So in this case with Cieren Fallon, it wasn't a case of riding before you could walk. You actually walked before you could ride.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, look, it was. I grew up in Wigan. It's more of a football, rugby town, etc. There's no really horses around, so I was kind of. I got out of Newmarket and I was away into more of a city, where I didn't really have a chance to sit on a horse. So no, I didn't really have the chance to, and it was only later on in life where I gathered I wanted to race ride.
Okay, and when was that? How old were you when you first wanted to become a jockey?
I think I rang my dad. I think when I was 17, asking can I be a jockey. It was out the blue, and obviously, my dad said there's only one way to get into racing, and that's go to the British Racing School. So we contacted the British Racing School. I was on a 14-week course there. After the 14-week course, I got a job with Mr. Haggis.
Oh, right. So that was your first job, was actually with William Haggis, right?
Yep.
Excellent. Not a bad man to be starting off with.
No, yeah, very good. I was very lucky to have an opportunity like that to get a job with Mr. Haggis, and obviously then on he sent me for my apprentice license, and that was here we are now today.
Excellent. Now, look, I guess your dad has become quite an influence since you become a jockey. As I said earlier, 6 times champion jockey. Since you took that decision to actually become a jockey, has he really encouraged you? I know sometimes we see shots of him walking the course with you, I think before you had the Group 1 winner. So I guess he is quite an influence on you.
He is, yeah. He never pushes me to do anything. He only helps me and advises me to do things.
That's nice.
Yeah, look, there's no pressure on his behalf. He just wants to help me get to the level I want to be at. So I just got to, take on his advice, and obviously riding. He can't really help me when I'm on the back of the horse, but everything else he can help me with. Excellent.
Well, he's obviously somebody who's ridden all around the world, so it's great. Obviously, must be having a dad like that with so much experience, really, and advice that he can give you must be a big help. Yeah, definitely. I'm very lucky, obviously, to have his knowledge passing on to me and everything. I can't get advice off anyone better, I don't think. So, I'm very lucky. And other influences, I mean, apart from your dad, are there other people in the world of racing or even non-racing who are actually sort of not necessarily a mentor, but giving you advice and helping you along? Yeah, I'm very, very lucky to have the support I do around me. Obviously, I've got my mum who is an ex-jockey. She helps me a lot.
Mr. Haggis and Maureen, they played a very big role, an important role into my early career. Mr. Haggis helped me with a lot of the riding in the tracks, etc. And Maureen has helped me with a lot of the, mental things and fitness and injuries side of things. She's been very good that way. I had 2 jockey coaches in Michael Hills and Michael Tebbett, who both support me now still. I've got the racing school there to help me with anything, and also Ryan Moore. He has a lot of chats with me, advises me on a lot of things, and Oisin Murphy took me under the wing as well. He helps me and advises me on everything, as well as a few more jockeys, but Oisin Murphy and Ryan Moore as the jockeys currently riding who have helped me the most.
That's interesting, Cieren, because I always think about racing, although you're all competitive, and once you go out of the weighing room into the paddock, it's each man or each woman to themselves. But actually, there is a lot of camaraderie and help, isn't there? Which is always, I always think that's a really nice aspect of horse racing.
It is, definitely. No, look, they obviously advise me and help me off the track, but as soon as we're in a race, there's no help there on their behalf, which is understandable. But off the track with anything with media, or if I'm going to go race in France, or if I'm going to go race anywhere else, they'll help me and they'll talk to me. But no, look, on the track, it's different, isn't it? We're competitive. We're paid to ride for certain owners and trainers, and you've got to ride respectively to win for them and not help anyone else out. And, like I said, off the track, I've got immense support around me and help, and I'm very grateful for it.
That's great to hear. Cieren, when we interviewed jumps jockey Tom Scudamore, he talked a bit to us about his daily routine. He mentioned he clocked up a lot of miles because not just from racing, but riding out for a lot of different trainers. Do you just ride out for William, or do you ride out for other yards as well? And can you sort of tell the listeners a little bit about your daily routine?
Yeah, no, obviously William Haggis is my main provider with rides, so I'm mainly in there. But if I'm not in there, I'll be in Sir Michael Stout's, James Ferguson's, Joe Parr, and then we branch out of Newmarket a little bit. Obviously, Hugo Palmer was in Newmarket, but now he's moved up to Cheshire, so I've got to drive up to there. And then obviously down in Lambourne Way, we've got Rafe Beckett and Andrew Baldwin, who also I have to go in and sit on a few Qatar horses. And then up north, Adrian Keatley as well. And then just depending on who I'm getting rides off and picking up with, I'll have to pop in and shove a face in a few of the yards. So no, it's very busy in the morning.
So would you be at 1 yard a day, or do you quite often do multiple yards?
I do multiple yards a day, but my main, who I ride out for first, I put prioritise to is obviously William Haggis. He provides me the most rides, and I've been with him since I was a kid, and obviously he gave me my first job. So I always dedicate my first lot to him, and then I kind of branch out then. So if I can meet William Haggis at the Albert Hatchery, we'll say 5:45, then I'll meet James Ferguson, say 6:15, then Sir Michael Stout at 7:15, and then back into the yard with William. And then maybe on a Thursday or Friday, I'll drive up to Cheshire and just ride out Hugo. And then maybe on a Friday or Saturday, I'll drive down and stay at Oisin Murphy's house, and we'll do 1 lot or 2 lots in Rafe Beckett's, and then head over to Andrew Baldwin's and do 1 or 2 lots there. And then I just try and fit Joe Parr in whenever I can in between. So I try and do a few different trainers every morning.
So definitely clocking up the miles the same as Stu in that respect, for sure. So a lot of jockeys struggle with their weight. Are you one of those? Are you able to enjoy the foods that you like to? And what is the favourite food, if you can eat, between races?
Yeah, no, I'm very lucky. I'm quite naturally light, so I don't really have to worry about my weight too much. Only when we've got the big meetings coming up and obviously the big handicaps, the week coming up to that, you just kind of be careful what you're going to eat, just so you're going to keep that opportunity to have a nice lightweight ride. But no, my favourite meal would be beans on toast with a pint of milk. I love that.
Great stuff.
A man of very frugal taste, frugal means. That's excellent. That's excellent. Now, Cieren, look, to land this job as first jockey for Qatar Racing this year must have been a great thrill. Have you set yourself any goals or targets for 2022?
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be in this job with Qatar Racing. Obviously, I was second jockey under Oisin Murphy. Obviously, I've taken the first jockey role under some difficult circumstances, but it's a chance for me. I'm going to have to prove myself. And obviously goals I've set, obviously I would love to ride a Group 1 winner for them. They showed faith in me as an apprentice as they retained me, and I was second jockey. They stuck by me, to let me be first jockey and ride all the horses this year. So look, to pay them back could be a Group 1.